Hello. Let's conclude our series of episodes on how to analyze self-storage in today's market, and then let's go out and put some self-storage in our portfolio. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy. And what I do is I help smaller investors who want to get in the self-storage business or who want to grow their self-storage business strategically purchase or build self-storage in a way that creates true wealth and a fulfilling career. And we are in the final episode in a series on how to analyze, and you have come a long way. If you go back to the beginning of the series, you learned how to generate the gross potential income. You learned how to generate the net potential income. You learned how to determine how much new additional income will be coming in on your value added opportunities. And you learned how to clock that income coming into the project. You've learned all this on existing facilities, expansions, conversions, and new construction. You know how to put the lease up income coming in. You've learned how to add additional income. You know now how to put in the operating expenses and how to generate and determine the NOI, the net operating income. And not only that, you now know how to put a value on that net operating income. And you've learned all of the activities that happen below the net operating income. Now, if anything I've said here sounds like Greek, go back and review the previous episodes to get you to this point. Because now we're going to talk about what makes self-storage so exciting for the smaller investors like us. So literally any type of commercial real estate investment has income, operating expenses, net operating income, and a value put on that net operating income. Now that value is a theory. It's not real. It's a valid theory, but you cannot pay your debt service with that theory. You cannot buy groceries for your family with that theory. What you pay debt service with and what you buy groceries with are cash, operating cash, real cash, not theory cash, cash that comes down after you've paid your debt service and after you've paid your capital expenses. What's left over is the distributable cash. And that's why self-storage is such a great investment. I mean, think about apartments. When people move out of apartments, you've got cleaning, you've got painting, you've got every few years appliance replacement, carpet replacement. When I was in the office business, when a tenant would move out, 80% of our tenants would stay, and we would budget $5 a foot just to have them stay. $5 per square foot was a capital expense every time a lease rolled around. Why? Because we had to paint, carpet, pay commissions, pay renewal fees. 20% of our tenants moved out. When they moved out, we had to have available, we didn't always spend it, but we had to have available $20 to $25 a square foot to move the walls, repaint, recarpet, and get that income stream going back in. In a typical self-storage facility, 60% of your tenants are going to roll every year, but you got a concrete floor and a steel wall. There's no capital improvements. What few capital improvements there are, such as blacktopping, replacing HVAC in the climate controls every 10 to 15 years. What we have discovered is if you put a small reserve fund, put it in your Performa, but put a small reserve fund aside every month. You know, we have a large facility over 100,000 square feet, and we put $1,000 a month aside in a reserve fund. And when these capital improvements come, you've got the reserve reserve fund there to pay it. We have never had to dip into the operating cash, the cash that we use to pay our investors and to buy our groceries and to pay our debt service. We've never once had to dip into that to pay a capital improvement. We had a $60,000 sign blow down one time. We even have a $10,000 deductible on our insurance policy. But what did we do? We reached into that reserve fund, paid the $10,000 deductible, new $60,000 sign went up, and the month that sign went up, we didn't miss a penny in distributing the profits for that month. Amazing. Yes, if you put a reserve fund, a modest reserve fund away on every project you do, in most all of the cases, you will have the capital improvements set aside that you need as they come up, both expectedly and maybe some surprises. But let me tell you, there's very few surprises in self-storage. That's why it's such a good investment for the smaller investor. That's why it's such a good investment for you. So now you know how to determine the value. You know how to put aside the capital improvement cost. So now what? So now what are you going to do? Well, my coaching is start analyzing facilities. Start looking at packages and doing the work that we did in this. So let me show you a project that we have recently done and are still doing at this moment that used all the techniques we've talked about in this series. Let's go to the computer. Okay, one day I woke up, opened up my computer, and this was in my inbox. I started looking at it, and I noticed it was a 100% climate control building and was very interesting looking. What really caught my eye was the fact that I saw expansion land. I saw here that there was an additional 18,750 square feet of land that originally had self-storage as a phase 2 on it that was never built. And it looked like that there would be not a lot of site work involved. And we got to work, and I did a very quick analysis on it. And what I saw was that if I took that 18,750 square feet of land and I used the 75% rule on how much of the floor plate would be net rentable square feet, it looked like I was going to get about 14,000 to 14,063 net rentable square feet on that additional land. So I next looked at the current unit mix and I entered it into our program. And what I saw was they were getting $11.18 a square foot gross potential income. It seemed low, but that was the number I used. So I multiplied that times the expansion and looked at what they currently had, and it's still, the preliminary analysis still did not look like it would give us what we needed in order to fulfill on our business strategy. So I was just about to put this in the file in my computer where I put all the other projects like this. And I stopped for a minute and I thought, well, I know that's a one-story building there, but what if I could put a two-story building behind the one-story building? How would the numbers look? So I just doubled everything. I doubled the land size because I would be going up. I doubled the amount of net rentable square footage we would be doing, and I still applied the 1118, ran some basic preliminary numbers, and it looked good at that point. So the next thing I did was I stopped the action and I thought through it and entered a preliminary construction budget. Now keep in mind, this is a preliminary construction budget, but it's what we used at the time. In actuality, during the due diligence, this budget went up. It still works. The project still works for us, but the budget went up. But I ran the preliminary budget and saw that for what I thought at the time, about $36 a square foot. It's now more than that. But at the time, I thought this project could work. when I ran the numbers on it. So the next thing I did was, okay, I can build it. How will the new income be coming in, and can we sustain the project while the new income's coming in? So the next thing I did was the lease up. So in this particular model, I had 28,125 square feet, net rentable square feet coming in at 1118. I figured that we'd be able to get our first income in month 7. It actually looks like it's going to be month 9. But we ended up settling at 1,500 square feet a month. I also ran it at 1,000. I also ran it at 1,200 to make sure if it didn't hit what I wanted, that difference in absorption wouldn't make the difference between a successful project and a non-successful project. But it looked to us like that we would be hitting stabilized occupancy of around 85% in 1 year and 2 or 3 months of lease up. So we entered that into the model. Then I sat down and thought through how we'd run it, how many employees we would have, what we would give them in terms of bonuses, how many would get health insurance. Just thought through how we would run it, the project, if we did it, and entered it. And I used numbers from their sales package, mostly around the insurance, the utilities, and the taxes. And I upped the taxes, but I didn't use a percentage against gross income. I used real numbers we thought would be the operating numbers. And then I looked at my 10-year cash flow. Now we use 3% a year on income growth. So you see the 3% a year here going up each year. And we used, in this model, 88% occupancy as stabilized occupancy. They were 97 with a 94% economic. So I don't think it's going to be that forever, but we did back it down to 88. And then you see the expansion income coming in. And then what you see in year 3, we're now stabilized on the expansion income. So all that income becomes part of the gross potential, and that keeps going up 3% a year. Our operating expenses are going up 3% a year. Our net operating income, we're compounding that 0.5%. And what I saw was that if I was anywhere near correct, we would be able to hit the targets that define our business strategy. And what I saw was that we would be spending approximately 3.6, 3.7 between acquisition and construction. And when we were done with the project, it would be worth between 5.3 and 5.6. So it looked like it hit all the targets on it. So we put it under contract. We went through the due diligence and adjusted the assumptions. Then we reran it. It still hit our strategy target. We got approval to erect a 2-story building during the due diligence process. But after we got that approval, we closed within 14 days of receiving that approval. And now the building is under construction. That is the first floor with the deck, and the concrete's been poured. And as we speak, the second floor is being erected. So that is a sample of how we used everything we've been talking about to put a self-storage project into service. Now, do not use the numbers that you see in this video or that are on the episode 108 at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com. Those are our numbers. I don't even know if they're 100% correct yet because we're still under construction. But those are the numbers that we use. You use your numbers. We cannot be responsible. I do not warrant them. I'm not telling you that if you use those numbers, it'll work. Those just happen to be the numbers we used on this project. But I just wanted to show you how we use this whole process that we've talked about to put product in service. I feel comfortable with that this is going to be a well-performing asset for us. But this uses all the techniques that we've talked about. Now let me tell you, if I can do it, you can do it. Now I just showed you the ones that I had done. Why? Well, because I control it. And I don't have permission to show all of the projects that other people have done that we have been working with in the past year. I will be having some interviews soon in these weekly sessions where you can see other people that are using these exact same techniques and have now owned and are operating their self-storage business. I'll do a few of those interviews for you to show you that it's not just us. And that's what's really exciting about this business. Literally, it is not that complicated a business. Yes, I paid more than I wanted to for the existing cash flow in this project. Yes, if I couldn't have done it if I didn't add the new additional square footage. But when I blend the cash flow I bought that I paid way more than I want to for, and then I blend in the cost of the new units coming in, put those together, we have a solid self-storage investment. Not a home run, a solid self-storage investment. So what's there to do? What there is to do is to go out and do it. Like I said in the book, Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, the quality of a person's life is determined by the challenges that a person faces. You want a boring life, have boring problems and boring challenges. You want a great life, have great problems and great challenges. Now go out and create a challenge for yourself called, how am I going to close on this facility right here? Thank you very much. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage. And if you see this in the month of April 2017, just know that in the next few days we are going to be releasing version 2 of the Storage World Analyzer. We demonstrated it at the ISS convention last week, got a little bit of feedback, we're making some adjustments on it, and I am proud of this program. I cannot wait to show it to you. If you need support in doing the analysis that we're talking about, go to storageworldanalyzer.com or creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com. Learn more about it and determine if this is something that you think could support you in getting in or growing your self-storage business. My name is Mark Helm. I'll see you later. Look forward to connecting with you soon.